Hi guys, welcome back to the Blue Podcast Network. This is the third episode of the Chequered show. Me, Reese, I'm your host. I've got Matt and Holly alongside me to talk about all things Formula One. So first things first, shall we go straight into the lackluster race that was the Japanese Grand Prix? One word thoughts on that
Boring.
race?
Shocking,
Boring.
I wish I didn't wake up for it.
Yeah, no. I watched better Grand Prix in my time. It's just a pretty straightforward race, wasn't it? You know, Max on pole, led the whole way. Wasn't really challenged for much of the race at all, and yeah, that's really kind of it. The best part of the race really was when Norris went onto the grass at pit exit with
That was interesting.
with Verstappen.
The fact Norris tried to blame Max for that though was crazy because that was not Max's fault.
No.
he was already exiting the pits.
He just tried to get ahead of him. It was his only chance to get ahead of him, and it wasn't ever going to work.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you got to try, but then you can't be like, he pushed me off. Like, it's not going to work.
No.
It's not
I
gonna
do
work.
kind of wish they switched the McLarens round at one point though, and let Oscar have a go at Max and see if that worked because he did seem to have a bit more pace.
Well, that was a big thing. I feel like we're going to just speak about that in every single episode now, where it's just McLarens and picking their driver. Because Piastri is saying over the radio time and time again, I can catch Verstappen, let me race. And they're just not.
But when do you reckon they'll let him actually be the first driver? If it's like, say he wins the next 3 races on the trot, is he then the favourite, do you think?
I mean, I think maybe I don't know, I want to say if he overtakes Lando, but he's only 3 points behind him now. So it's it's like, okay, does he overtake Lando? And then maybe they go, oh, but I feel like Lando's the favourite and he's been the favourite, and it's like, oh, he's going to be the one to win the Drivers' Championship. So I don't know, but it's always like halfway through a race and they say, okay, it's Lando's race now. But it's like, look at the stats, look at the timings. It's not.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah, like if he wins Saudi Arabia and he goes ahead of him, surely he's in the first driver.
Yeah, I think this whole conversation of now where McLaren are slowly realising, and us as fans are realising that they are both number one drivers and they're going to have to pick one driver. 2 number ones just don't work ever. You know, we've seen it in the past. And yeah, McLaren's stuck between a rock and a hard place at the moment with that. And I guess, look, if they're going to Saudi and they're, say, they're level points after the race or however it is, then yeah, you got to have, you can't really prioritise either driver. But if Piastri has a reasonable gap after 6-7 races, say he has a gap over 20 or something like that, then yeah, you're going to have to prioritise Piastri because he's the faster guy. He's the guy that you should be prioritising. But at the end of the day, I do almost feel that Norris is the ideal number one. That's the guy that they want to push towards. But
I also don't think he's as quick as people think, though, in comparison to Piastri. Because I know a lot of people rate him as like one of the top 3 drivers on the grid. I don't think he is, Norris.
No, I think on his day, Norris, he's one of the fastest guys out there. But in these past few weeks, we've been seeing him struggling.
He's not consistent enough either.
And that's the thing. Piastri, the only mistake Piastri's made this season is at Melbourne when he spun off.
Yeah.
There's been countless moments this season so far where Norris hasn't been quite there. Qualifying P6 in the race, and then obviously got on the start as well. He got that penalty for being out of line.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It was so unfortunate he was out of place because if he had been in place, he probably would have got the jump on quite a few cars anyway. But yeah, I just don't think he's been consistent as consistent as Piastri, and I don't know. I just feel like there's still that immaturity about him where he has those mistakes in him. He's not quite,
I think
world champion material yet, potentially.
He's come into the season with the expectations he has on Lando. You're the man. Like
that's what I mean. You're
the favourite and all this stuff like that. But he's probably not realised that, look, you've got a really fast guy next to you in Oscar Piastri who's faster, maybe if not faster as well, and you kind of see now how good Oscar Piastri is and stuff. And I think it may be a pressure thing, where he's got everything on him. He's got all these different things and whatever. It's Japan. You hear comments after the race. Verstappen saying that if I was in the McLaren, then I would have just set off into the distance. Like, what do you guys think? Do you think that would be the case with Max Verstappen if he was in that car?
I mean, we know that the McLaren is the fastest car is the best car at the moment. So then if you put arguably the best driver in it, but then you never know because it's a completely different type of car.
It's not
so
built for
it's
him.
not built for him.
Yeah.
But he is. I think personally you could put Verstappen in almost any car and he'll
Oh yeah.
I think
He's
that
proven
Red
it
he'll
now
at
already.
least extract something from
I
it.
think the Red Bull's mid-table though. That's the thing. I genuinely think that car right
Yeah.
now
Well,
is mid-table.
After Bahrain, it was an awful car. Normally with that
I
Red
just
Bull,
don't think it's good.
normally with that Red Bull on Friday, they don't look strong. As they're going to go for the weekend, they get stronger and stronger and stronger. Just seemed to just flatline. They were just the exact same throughout the whole weekend. Max was all in Bahrain, which complaining about the brakes all weekend, and yeah, that car
Yeah.
it's not great as well. And you see in Yuki as well. Yuki struggled as well with that Red Bull in
Although he
Bahrain
got
as
points.
well.
First time a Red Bull second driver's got points so far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, there's only
exactly.
one,
It
wasn't it?
speaks.
But-
It speaks volumes. You know how difficult that car is to drive, and no matter who's in that car, if it's Lawson or Sonoda, and such. But yeah, so back over to Suzuka. So obviously, I want to ask. So McLaren, they boxed Lando on the exact same lap as Max Verstappen. For me, I don't understand why they did that. Why did they do the exact same thing as what Max did?
Yeah.
Yeah. With Suzuka, you're never gonna beat a driver on track. You're never gonna. That's not gonna happen. You have to have speed over the other car. Why not leave him out for a little bit? You know,
or even bring him in early. You need
Yeah.
to. They needed to try an underlap or an overlap. It was never gonna work.
Exactly. Like, yeah, I don't really know what McLaren's idea was there. They was almost just kind of settling in for second place and just hoping they had the pace at the end of the race. But when Max is leading the Grand Prix, you're going to struggle to get past a guy like that who's so good around that circuit.
But then yeah, maybe I don't know if maybe they were aiming to bring him in before and then they missed it. Like I don't know. You never know what they're thinking, and yet again, strategy is a hard thing.
Yeah.
But they need to work on it because like there have been a few times now where McLaren's strategy has like led them to fail. Like it seems to be that it can loop round. You can have really good drivers that iron out all their mistakes. They're doing well. They're being consistent. But if you don't get the strategy right, they're done. They can't do anything with it.
Which is why Red Bull have been so strong the past couple of years. They haven't just been good because they have a really fast driver in the car, but they have everyone else who's just tuned in.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes
the
to pit stops
are incredible.
You know, I think
they got the fastest ones.
they've been the top of the pit stops for years and years now. You know, they're just well drilled and everything, and they've just been prepared to win championships when it was given. For me, are McLaren 100% prepared to win a world title? It doesn't look
I
that
don't
way
know.
because if they was, I think they would have their ideas right of right, you're number one and you're number two. But they can't because they've
Well, I
hired.
think they do though. I think Norris is number one.
I think he's number one, but I think they're also at a crossroad where it's like, well, Oscar Piastri is very fast as well.
He seems faster. I think that's their problem is they want Norris to be number one, but then Piastri's so far looks to be quicker pace-wise. I know Norris has more points, but it does seem that Piastri is a faster driver. So I feel that that's why they've got the problem.
But the McLaren had that problem when they hired Piastri in the first place. You don't hire Piastri if you don't think he's going to be as quick as Lando Norris in the future. He won Formula 2, Formula 3 back to back. You know, such a quick driver and such. You know, that they had that problem since day one when they hired Oscar Piastri, and they're kind of paying the price for that now. Really, I'd say.
I mean, I think it's that storyline though of like Lando Norris is going to be this amazing story of he's been there since the beginning, and he's like as McLaren have gotten better, he's stuck by them and all this stuff, and then now he's finally, you know, a champion. So it's that storyline that they probably want to run with, and Piastri, even though it's amazing, like he's come in, he's only been for a couple years, like amazing, but maybe it's not that storyline that they're looking for, so they're trying to be like, yeah, Norris, but it's there is going to be a point where if you want both the drivers and you want the constructors, maybe you have to do a little bit of a switch.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Piastri. With Norris, he's got all the pressure because he's favourite to win the championship. With Piastri, as long as he beats his teammate, he looks good because where Norris is this, you know, golden boy from McLaren. And at the moment, if you're beating Norris, you're going to be winning a championship. You know, so I guess there's less pressure there for Piastri.
Do you think anyone else can come in and challenge for it? Because I know Max is third at the moment. Do you think he'll stay there? Or do you think there'll be another driver?
Yeah, it all depends on what Red Bull can do for Max. I think if you give Max a half decent car, then yeah, of course he will. I think he'll go better around Saudi Arabia. I think just the twisty nature of the
I'm going
circuit.
to say Red Bull always do better at higher speed circuits.
Yeah.
I think that's why I'm wondering whether they'll be a lot quicker there or not.
Yeah, you saw how much they were struggling in Bahrain with, a lot of them lower speed corners, and again Max was saying about the brakes, and he's very reliant on the brakes and the way he drives and things like that, and he was struggling there. Don't really need as much of the brakes in Saudi Arabia, so gone to his favour. But I just think it all, because we saw last year when McLaren got the upgrades in Miami, and from there they just Norris won the race, and then they were seen as title contenders. It takes one team to do that. I know Ferrari had upgrades in Bahrain as well. That didn't quite work out well. They go and bring another upgrade, and then Charles could be straight there as well. That's the thing we don't know. Can there be? Yeah, of course, because it's quality drivers. But as of now, it just looks like it's going to be one of the McLaren drivers at the moment.
I'm not sure, but did Alpine bring an upgrade? Because they were a lot faster.
They were a lot
Bahrain.
faster. They must have. They must have done. I'm not 100% sure.
I think they must have, because Pierre Gasly was quick all weekend.
Yeah.
That qualifying was amazing from him, and then the race he kept it up as well. But then Doohan as well wasn't far off the point. I think he finished 11th in the end.
I think he finished like 13th, 14th, but he was in the points for a long time.
He was up there.
He just got screwed over by the safety car, because I think
he
was on hards, and then he just stayed out, and then everyone else just had fresher tyres, and he just got overtaken by everyone else.
To what that safety car was for when it came out, I did not know what it was for.
I think it was for the damage with Tsunoda
it was.
And Carlos Sainz, but I guess I was thinking, why didn't you virtual safety car it?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
it's
think the field spread was quite big. So it was going to be very hard for a marshal to go and pick the pieces up off the track. So it was just easier to bunch the cars up, pick up the debris, and then
maybe.
And so I think that was the idea.
Unnecessary.
So should we just go straight over to Bahrain then, because there's not really much talking about with
trying to find stuff to talk about with Suzuka. There's nothing to say though, is there? That's the thing.
So let's start off. Oscar Piastri won the Bahrain Grand Prix, led it from start to finish, looked really, really comfortable. Just again,
he's so composed. That's the thing.
So composed. He doesn't. Yeah, he looks ready to win a world championship. I have to say now, like he's just looking really strong, really mature, considering this is his third season now, and he just looks so strong. He's such a fast driver.
Like almost by 16 seconds as well. I think it was 15.4 or something like that.
Something
ahead,
like that. Yeah,
which is just like how close these top teams are now to win 15 seconds ahead, 16 seconds ahead. That's just like
considering we had about 20 laps, from the safety car. If he's done 15 seconds in 20 laps, that's really strong.
Well, then again, Russell, I was going to say about him, I was very impressed by him, because obviously we know he's a quick driver, but all these things that were going wrong with his car, it seemed like every lap there was a new thing wrong with his car, and he managed to keep it together and still finish in P2 in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
It's absolutely amazing.
One of his best drives, I have to say. With all the issues that was going on, even at the end being on the softs, keeping Norris behind him as well. I think he drove a really strong race. I think he's so underrated, George Russell.
He's very good.
He's someone who he goes about his business. He keeps quiet. He goes in. He gets in the Mercedes. He does his jobs. Go home. Gets the points. He's just very solid. And he was like that with against Lewis for the last 3 years.
Here's a good question then. I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm not saying I agree with this. I think you won't agree with this. Is George Russell currently the fastest British driver?
I think
currently.
I think on form. Yeah, I'd have to say that. Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know. I think he's doing very well. I mean, I was going to say this earlier when we were speaking about teams. Like, I do think if Mercedes, all it takes is one upgrade, and I think they're sorted. I think that they can be up there because, Russell is quick and he's very calm. He's very collected. Like, the way that he's managed to step up as a first driver as well and just come in and kind of be that leader, I think it's exactly what they wanted. Sadly, the car maybe isn't what they were aiming for.
No.
But if they do that, then I think they'll be fine. Because even Antonelli's doing okay. He's doing well.
The thing that impresses me with him is he looks very aggressive in his way of taking drivers on. He's not scared of trying to make a move.
His move on Max, for example, to do that is
that's
incredible.
what I mean. We quite often get rookies, right? They come up against these highly experienced veteran drivers, and they're scared to try and make moves on them. They kind of just follow them around. But no, he's straight down the inside. He's always looking for gaps, and he's got pace as well. I think he'll definitely be a very good driver in the future.
I think also when we talk about Norris and Piastri, that kind of dynamic, I'll be interested to see in the next 2-3 years how it's going to be at Mercedes if Antonelli is this fast early on. He's going to be as fast as Russell in the next couple of years. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works between the two of them. I think back to George Russell as well, the issues he had during the race, with
some of them were just
the whole he's on the timing sheets, his things were just pinging up everywhere and things like that.
Well, at one time he was like on the side of the track at one point.
Yeah. It was crazy, but like, and obviously it was investigated after the race with like the DRS thing.
That would have been so harsh if they'd given him a penalty for that.
It would have been so harsh, and well, what the FIA found is that he didn't gain an advantage.
Yeah, I know the rules are rules and they're there because they need to be followed, but surely they have to have some sort of like situational understanding of, he's basically had everything electronic brake on his car and he can't do anything.
He basically pressed the team radio and then the DRS went up. That's how it happened.
Yeah,
so like
he
wasn't in control. He wasn't in control of what was happening.
It was quite dangerous, to be fair. I was wondering if he would get a black and orange flag for mechanical because it was dangerous. Like, because if that's happening when you're pressing the team radio, what's going to happen next? You don't know.
Yeah, true.
It's very unpredictable.
But yeah, no, strong drive for Russell. One of his best drives, I'd have to say. And again, proving how underrated of a driver he is. And as you said, I think if Mercedes can bring an upgrade to that car, George Russell, he will be there. He's proven it all year. It's like 3 podiums now this season, I think.
He was finishing the top 5 in every race so far.
Yeah,
he's definitely been up there.
I don't think he's that far off Lando or Piastri. He's not that far off. I think he's.
No, he can't be.
He's 63 points now.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's 6 points behind Verstappen, and then Lando's at 77, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So he's not far off at all.
So yeah, 14 points behind Norris. So it's pretty close.
Competitive.
But it is close in that top 4. It is close.
Yeah.
Because they're just such good drivers and they are extracting what they can from their car. But as we said before, if the team or the car isn't doing what you want it to do, there's only so far a driver can push it. So hopefully, for Russell's sake, if they bring an upgrade, but I don't know what they're planning.
Well, I think the order of the cars this year is quite comfortably McLaren, then Mercedes, then Ferrari. I don't think Red Bull are in the top 3 at the moment.
No. It is them 3 at the moment.
I mean, the team as well that in Bahrain struggled a lot was Aston Martin. I was looking at them. They were I think 14th, 15th, maybe 15th and 16th. They really struggled.
No, they were not happy as well.
Yeah, Aston Martin were terrible. They're just praying for Adrian Newey's input onto the car next year. I think, it's sad to see Fernando Alonso just struggling. An icon of the sport, and he's just planning around in P16.
Given up on this year though.
I think they'll probably bring 1 or 2 upgrades in the next couple of races. I think maybe after Spain or Monaco, there's no performances. They'll probably just sack the year off and focus on 26. To be honest, if I was Aston Martin now, I'll just focus on 26 now anyway. You've got one of the best designers coming to your team.
Yeah, he's come in at the right time. How Red Bull is now as well. I mean, it just shows how quickly things can turn around for a team. You see Red Bull's dominance in the past couple of years, and it was just like nothing was catching them. And now it's completely different. It'll be so interesting to see how Aston Martin is, because if they can just come straight through in the next couple of years, you just know that Adrian Newey's he's the man.
Yeah. Well, people say as well in F1, obviously it's a sport that if you don't go forward, you go backwards, and that's kind of I think what's happened for Red Bull is they were kind of thinking, well, we got a quick car, we'll be fine, and then because they've been like that, everyone's just caught up with them slowly.
Yeah, and even Jonathan Wheatley, he's now team principal at Kick Sauber as well. That's another key personnel that's left. All these different names. You know what I mean? And you're now kind of seeing the impacts of these people leaving the team and stuff. And it almost kind of feels like that dominant Red Bull team is slowly but surely kind of falling apart in a way. And there's still even talks of Max. Is he going to stay around at Red Bull? He's not going to stay around at Red Bull if he's not going to be winning championships or anything like that. I think he wait till 26 and then see what else is available to him if Red Bull don't give him a car to win titles and stuff. So Aston Martin were not great. They'll be hoping for a better weekend in Saudi Arabia, of course. But yeah, Norris finishing P3. Again, started
Decent
P6.
recovery.
Yeah, had the penalty for being out of line on the grid as well.
Which is
It's just
so
it's
stupid,
just
like,
one of those things you can avoid. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
He didn't need to do it. That's the
No.
thing. I mean, because as well, as I said, I think if he didn't do it, he'd have jumped drivers anyway, and he probably would have ended up.
He would have probably been ahead of like Russell. He probably wouldn't have had that.
I think
battle
he'd
at
have
the end and
overtaken
stuff,
him
so,
on track. Yeah.
you know, he probably maybe would have been closer to Piastri. I don't think anyone was stopping Piastri
No.
on Sunday at all.
Mm.
But you know,
Well,
he
you
would
never
have
know
been
with team
closer.
orders, though. He might have been ordered to kind of slow down and let him through.
Yeah, maybe we don't know. But yeah, that's the thing with Norwich. It's a great recovery drive. I think that's probably. We just said that's the minimum. You know, get on the podium from that sort of drive.
Well, if he wants to be world champion, it's what he has to do. He needs to basically finish on the podium every week.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're seeing how, like, yeah, again, comparing him to Verstappen, but you're seeing Verstappen, you know, being maybe like P19 qualifying, and then he's winning the race.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta be unstoppable. Otherwise, you're gonna have people on your tail. I mean, Norris has gotten so much better at race starts. You can't then be doing stuff like that and
No.
just messing it up for
Yeah.
yourself,
No.
because you can't be ironing out these mistakes and then just creating other ones. It's just it's silly. So
Do you think Norris is capable though of a drive like that, like in qualifying being like P18, P19, and finishing on the podium? I don't think he is.
no, I think he'll be. I think he can get up high up, like P5, P4, but podium.
No,
I don't know.
think It's a stretch.
No, I
Yeah,
mean you don't know until they do it, because you know I don't think anyone would have thought that any driver could do it.
No.
So, and then you see someone do it, and you see Verstappen do it, or you see Hamilton do it, and you think, oh my gosh, like this is
Yeah.
this
I
is
mean,
a
that
champion
Hamilton
here.
one, was it in Brazil?
Yeah.
That was
Take me back to
Yeah.
those
unreal
days.
drive.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the best drives there's ever been, I
Yeah.
think.
No, that's the thing. Norris hasn't really had the opportunity to ever come from the back of the grid in a quick car. I'm sure at some point this season he had grid penalties and stuff like that, so we have to come from towards the back at some point. So we'll see that then and stuff. But yeah, I just don't. You know, I think if it was Max in that car again with that conversation, if Max was in that car,
You'd imagine
would
he'd
that
probably
result
won the race.
of being completely different? Do you know what I mean? And again, with that sort of, you know, that's, you know, being off the line, it's just one of those things that you can look at that towards the end of the season. That could be the couple points that cost him to win a title, and crucial points at the start of the season. You know, it's one of those things that those mistakes you should not make, sort of thing. And it's frustrating for Lando Norris, because we want a title fight and stuff like that. We want it to go all the way. And if Norris is going to be struggling a little bit, it's not going to be not going to be too great. And of course Charles Leclerc. Let's talk about the Ferraris in general. Leclerc, Hamilton, P4, P5. For me, I felt like the team started on the mediums compared to everyone else who was on the softs, and so went medium, was quick on the medium, so Hamilton was able to get to P5 and things. But then went on to hards at the end.
Yeah, I'm not sure about
I
that.
didn't
Yeah.
get that, considering George Russell was able to go 24 laps on a set of softs.
Yeah, but I think that was just incredible, like tyre management though as well.
Yeah. No, I think my idea. I think they were aiming to do mediums, and then I think the safety car came out a little bit too early for them to do a soft strategy.
Yeah, I think the safety car did screw them a bit.
And then they was like, well, it's a couple laps too early. We're gonna have to go to the hards. And Max proved that the hards were just absolute rubbish when he was on those tires. For me, you know, the perfect strategy by Pirelli. Pirelli said the perfect strategy is the best strategy is soft, medium, and that's what Piastri did. That's what Norris did, and yeah, Piastri on the race. So in the end, Mercedes should have, Ferrari should have done that in the end, because that was the fastest way, and the mediums was the best tire to be on at the end, because I was surprised of how long the softs were able to go, but I don't think there wasn't any graining or anything like that on the tires, so they wasn't wearing, so you could just run them. Although they were running out of performance,
probably cooled a bit as well, which made them in a kind of better running temperature.
Yeah.
But I would say it's becoming clear with Ferrari that, at least pace-wise, it seems Leclerc is probably still the first driver, because obviously we didn't really know with Lewis coming in whether, because of the name he is, whether he would have become the first driver just on merit or whether he'd have to earn it. It does seem Leclerc is currently the faster driver and the first driver in a team, I'd say.
Yeah, he's looking like He's the faster guy at the moment. I thought Hamilton, you can't just walk into a team that is Leclerc's team and go, yeah, I'm first. You know what I mean?
Well,
You're gonna have to earn it up against a driver like Charles Leclerc. So yeah, he's gonna have to.
Hamilton's not going to be there ridiculously long, whereas Charles Leclerc could spend his whole career there.
That's his team. It's Ferrari.
So, he loves the team.
I think it's hard as well. I mean, obviously everyone knows Hamilton to be, he is an amazing driver, one of the best, but he is still moving to a completely different team. So we're however many races in now, and he's still probably getting used to it a little bit, whereas Leclerc knows how they run, and he knows how it works, I suppose.
Yeah.
Even just down to like the engineers. Like Hamilton's going to be still building those relationships and still building those things at work. So it's hard really, because I think Leclerc kind of just has that edge a little bit more. Hamilton can be an amazing driver, but I think within the team, maybe Leclerc just has that edge a bit because he's been there for so long. Yeah. So we'll see maybe as Hamilton gets more comfortable. If they bring any upgrades and things that might suit Hamilton more, you never know. But
obviously as well, Hamilton is actually the only one to have won a race so far for them as well this season.
Yeah. Even Lewis after the race in the media pen and stuff like that, a lot of it he was just talking about still getting used to this Ferrari. He's saying that there's certain things that you do with the Ferrari that you wouldn't do with the Mercedes car in terms of setup wise and things like that. He was saying that with Leclerc he has a setup and he keeps a bit from Friday into Sunday. Lewis likes to change it a lot, so it's those little kind of details. And he's talking about adjusting his driving style to Leclerc a little bit more because he's recognising Leclerc's getting the best out of this car better than me. I need to adjust that. At the prime age of how is he now? 40 years of age now. Is he?
I don't know if he's at 40 yet. I don't think he's at 40.
I think he's 40.
Is he 30? Is he 39 or 40?
No, I'm sure he's 39. I don't think he's at 40 yet.
Let's have a look. Lewis Hamilton is.
I think he's 40 now, isn't he?
40.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Well,
there we go then.
The more you know. The more you know. But yeah, so
you reminded me of something when you talked about media. Did you guys see that Lando Norris interview? I think it was after qualifying where he was talking about pace.
No.
He did this interview with Sky Sports. I've never seen a driver who's top of the championship look so dejected. Like,
was it? Yeah.
He just basically was like, I don't know, because they asked what was wrong. He was like, I don't know. I literally don't have the pace. I don't know what's wrong, but I don't know what to do. Yeah, that's basically what he was saying. Like,
I think that's, have a clue. I think that's a little bit with Norris. Just I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's. I think a little bit is that he's confused in the way of Piastri's faster than me. What am I gonna do? That kind of sort of shock, and I don't know. I don't know where to put it. I don't know if it's like, it's confused because I don't know if it's something to do with his mentality, or he's just not ready. I just don't know what it is with Norris. I just don't think he has. I think that's the thing. I keep saying I think because I don't know.
I think it's also it leads all the way back round to pressure. I don't think he's got that kind of where Piastri. He's just so calm and so collected. I mean, he's got an amazing manager in Mark Webber. Like, they work very well.
Mark Webber's manager?
I think he's his coach, yeah.
I like Mark Webber.
And so he's got that, which probably is giving him a massive helping hand.
Yeah.
Norris, all this pressure kind of just hit on him at once, coming from Miami. Suddenly it's like, yes, you're a champion. And maybe he just doesn't know what to do with all of it. Whereas Piastri, it's kind of been a bit smoother, maybe.
Yeah.
He hasn't had that. Like, if Piastri comes around and he's like, okay, I'm leading now, it's not as crazy and as intense as Norris last year.
Yeah.
So I think maybe Norris is just struggling to deal with that pressure. And then when something happens, he doesn't even know where his head's at. And I think a lot of times these media pens and these interviews happen before they've even managed to chat with their engineers.
They go
with their
straight.
team.
So I think they literally just get shot out of the car straight to the media. They haven't even thought about things.
So they probably don't even know where normally they would then sit down with their engineers, sit down with their team, and go, okay, right, let's touch base. What's happening here? He hasn't had the opportunity to do that, and he's being asked questions that he doesn't know the answer to.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think if I was Norris, I don't know if it's anything to do with him on social media and all that kind of stardom and stuff like that. If I was Norris, just do a Nico Rosberg. Just lock in, paint your helmet black. Yeah, don't illuminate yellow or anything like that. Make it black. Don't do any cycling or anything like that, whatever, and just focus. Because I think I don't know if it's anything to do with he's just getting distracted of what's outside of Formula One. I'm not saying just stay on Formula One to strictly, don't do anything else. But I think he may need that sort of part to him, because I think he's maybe struggling to balance that sort of, social media star life too. And I think, Lewis, for example, he's won his titles and then he's gone on, become the star outside of Formula One, and he knows how to handle the pressure. Same with Max in a way. Max can go and do that. He can go and do sim racing and stuff like that.
I don't think he could care less.
No, that's it. No, but he could go and do that because he's done it. He won a world title. Any more titles that he wins after, it doesn't really matter. All you want is one at the end of the day.
With Lando, the thing is as well is people kind of overlooked Piastri, because we all knew McLaren were going to have the fastest car this year. That was a given. But people were saying, oh, well, that means Lando's going to win the title, and they overlooked Piastri. And now Piastri's getting a lot out of the car. People are looking at him thinking, oh, is Lando underperforming? Whereas in reality, it's probably just the fact that Piastri's been very quick, and now Norris has pressure because the whole media were looking at him to be world champion, and it doesn't look like it's going to be that way.
Because the thing is, like with Norris, is that the whole thing, can he beat Max this year? First of all, you need to beat your teammate, and you've got a very fast teammate. So make sure you can beat him first, and then think about beating Max. And of course now Max is behind because of the
battle is between Piastri and Lando. In reality,
that's what. And I don't know if he has that grittiness to go and do that. I don't know. I don't know if he's. Is it weak? Is he? Yeah. Is it? That's it. Is he? Because in a way, like Hungary, for example, last year, where he let Piastri through to then go and win the race. That for me shows a little bit of a weakness. If you want to be that hungry, just that I don't care, I'm going to do everything my way. He should have won that race. Being so that's he does. I don't think he has that selfishness in him. There's a little bit of a weakness for me.
But if you are ordered by your team, you have to do it because he doesn't want to cause.
He doesn't have to do it. He can just cross the line and he'd get a telling off and that's it. Like, I don't
but
think
then
anything else will happen.
you're going to massively annoy Piastri.
Yeah, and you're going to want the other way around as well. Yeah. But the next time Piastri's asked to let you through, he's like, I see you, I'm going down the road.
This is the thing, you do anything to beat your teammate. You do anything. Look at Lewis and Nico, for example. Nico in Monaco, when he was qualifying, he went off the runoff and then he got pole and won the race afterwards. You do these little things to get ahead of that driver, because then, if Norris was then to win at Hungary, Piastri's like, this guy, it's unfair and whatever. He's in his head. I think it's just building that strong mentality. I don't think Norris just has that. And I think Piastri has that better killer instinct.
Overall,
in
it's
that
a
way.
team sport, though, and you can't annoy your teammate, because when you need them, you need them to be on side of you. And if you've in the last race gone and annoyed them, and then like say they're in 5th, right, and you're in 6th, and you've got the pace to go and to overtake the 4 drivers in front of them, if they're not going to let you through, it doesn't matter. So you need to make sure that you've got your teammate on side, because otherwise you're screwed in the next time you need them to help you.
I get that, but I just feel that there's
I get it, maybe last race of the season, maybe, but not now. It's too early in the season to be annoying people.
I mean, I do understand.
If it's your title rival, you need to do everything you can to annoy Piastri.
No,
if you really want to go and win that world title, you do every single thing possible to ensure Piastri doesn't get anywhere near that title. You do everything you possibly can.
I agree with you in the sense that you have to be ruthless, but I think there is that fine line of being ruthless and then you can end up getting kicked off from your team. Because I think there's a thing of,
and then he gets to drive at Red Bull or something like that. He would get a drive elsewhere,
He would, but also you don't want to have the reputation of being a dick, basically, do you? You don't want that. You don't want that reputation around you. You don't want to be known as that sort of driver, because then no team's going to want to take you on if they know you're hard to work with.
It's also never ended well in the media. Like, people just don't you could say that Verstappen's like that. And people just hate him.
Disliked, Like, look at F1 Live, the way he was booed when he came on stage.
So disrespectful.
He's a 4-time world champion. You wouldn't expect him to get booed, but he did. I mean, in some ways as well, after the Multi 21, Seb was hated for a bit. I know, obviously, since then everyone's started to love him again. But after that incident, he ignored team orders, and everyone was like, "Oh, this guy's horrible! Like, what an idiot! No one likes this guy." Like, that's what happens.
I think Piastri does test it because, like, even in the last race when he's saying, "Okay, I can catch Verstappen, let me through," and they're saying, "No, this is Lando's race. You know, stay in your zone." And he's really trying. There were moments where he did kind of try to push for that overtake, but he still kind of went, "Actually, maybe not.
see, that's
I've been told where to
acceptable,
stay." Like, he kind of shows. I think you have to show that you can do it by him getting closer and closer to Lando and showing that he has that pace. It shows everyone, no, I can do it. But there is a difference in showing that and then actually executing the move. I think that's where then you've got to learn that line. And they probably know that McLaren is they know their dynamic, and they know when you're going into that team, you know what you're going into. You know that, okay, there's 2 first drivers, there's this, there's that. They know what they're going into, and they know the lines and the boundaries. Yeah. And
it's about showing desire without being cocky, I think.
Yeah,
which Piastri does well, as you said. Like, I think you've got to challenge the team. If you know you're quicker, you've got to tell them, look, I'm quicker. You've got to do everything you can to try and get them to let you through. If they say no, you respect it because they're your team and you need them around you to support you. That's the thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe we're just too nice.
Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, you're hired by them. Yeah, you are a driver and you're trying to get the championship. And there is kind of a level of every man for themselves. But you're still hired by the team. They're still your bosses. They're still your managers at the end of the day. So you have to kind of, they can drop you like that. Yeah. So it's a level of that respect of, no, I'm going to listen to what they're telling me, because there is more than just the driver. It's a whole unit.
I'm just going to more say it in the perspective of, if Lando wants to progress as a driver and become this next level driver, I feel like he needs to have that sort of ruthlessness in him. You know, Max has kind of shown that at Red Bull, just that ruthlessness, just doing whatever he can to in 21, for example, we did, even if it was just pushing Lewis wide, which maybe was seen as unfair, he did absolutely everything possible, even if it was crossing a few lines, to ensure that he wins his first world title. And ever since that, Max has been a much calmer, much relaxed driver since then. I just feel that he may need that to go to that next level. I know. The thing is, it takes one crash. They're gonna collide at one point in the season, Norris and Piastri. For me, it just takes one incident for one of them to just blow. It's surely going to happen. Like,
Norris is going to become quite disliked by the end of the season.
He's already so disliked. I've never seen.
If you look 2 seasons ago, people didn't like it. Sorry, people all really liked him. If you look now, people are kind of starting to view him as a bit of a snob, a bit of a guy, a bit of an obnoxious guy. And I like Norris, but I do think that he needs to accept that the driver next to him is as quick, if not quicker than him.
But I think I maybe disagree with that a little bit, because I think there was always, I think it depends on who you ask, but I think especially when like Drive to Survive came out, and especially when Lando and Ricciardo were teammates, people didn't like Lando because they thought that he wasn't very nice to Daniel, and he was very just selfish, and he was quite cocky, and he wasn't very sympathetic. And I think there was a lot of that in the media, of him being very immature and not being very kind. I think now it's maybe turned around a little bit, and he's shown his personality a bit more, and people like him. And especially he does a lot outside with Quadrant and things like that, and you see him a lot more in the media. But I think maybe he's liked more now than when he was younger, because
I disagree.
Maybe liked more, but I think the back end of last season and the start of this season, it's kind of switched again. And I think he's starting to become a bit more disliked, because people seem to think that he expects things. Like, it's like last season, it goes back to his comment about Verstappen saying, "Oh, it's not talent, it's just luck." Like, that's the kind of thing where people look at him and saying, "All right, well, you're not the nicest character, are you?"
I think Norris has been disliked for me like for the last few years. I just think there was a narrative behind it for a while that was like, was it Lando no wins, that sort of narrative, and then ever since then I just always seen so much hatred, and even going into like Suzuka, but there's just so many people just Like, I seen TikToks like, me and bro, like, you know, back in the Norris hate and things like that. There's so much hatred
People
towards it.
fanboy over him, though, a lot.
Whatever Norris does, I feel it's always criticised and stuff. Whether it's right or wrong to be criticised, yeah. But I've seen so much hatred towards Norris that is maybe unnecessary.
I think it goes both ways though, because then you also have the people who really, really, really like him. Like, there's some people who absolutely adore him and love him and think he's brilliant. I don't think there's many people like who are just meh about him. I think you kind of either like him or don't like him. I don't think many people sit on the middle.
Yeah.
I think you kind of have to have, I don't know, I think you have to be a little bit like unlikable to be successful. Because
every
you have
world
to
champion,
be,
every world champion was disliked for some reason or not.
Yeah.
But not really Lewis, I don't think.
No, he was hated for all his dominance
definitely
and things
cockiness
like that.
and things like that.
See, I didn't like him, but that was just because I didn't like him winning every week because it was boring, and I like Vettel, and I wanted to see him do well.
No, but even there's a level of that. People just don't like him because it's getting boring now. You know,
or even stuff that he does off track as well. You know, all that the fashion stuff he does and all whatever else.
To
You know,
be fair,
disliking all that stuff as
I
well.
remember he used to get so much stick for saying blessed all the time. People say it's the only word he knows.
Yeah, that's it. You know, that's the thing.
To be fair, maybe I hadn't thought about that. Maybe
I remember when Lewis was dominating. Yeah, I'd go into the comments and there was always hatred towards Lewis, and I just would not look at comments because it was just always that.
They made you cry, did they?
But nearly. But I almost go into comment sections now, and I see very similar things towards Lando Norris.
But I think that's the thing with like someone like Charles. I can't see him as a world champion just because like he's just so nice. Like,
everyone loves him.
He's so nice. I don't think because you wouldn't find anyone saying, "Oh, you know, Charles shouldn't have won that. It's so undeserved." Like everyone's just be like, "Oh, it's Charles,
everyone likes him. Like even with Russell, you know, when he moved to Mercedes, people didn't like him. People loved him at Williams, but when he moved to Mercedes, there was always like a dislike towards him as well.
I quite like Russell. I
don't. But for whatever reason, there were fans that I don't know if it's anything to do with Drive to Survive or whatever narrative they pushed or whatever.
Watch Drive to Survive. It's too dramatized.
Do you know what?
It is a drama show. It's not.
Do you watch it?
I watched it. I haven't. I've watched all of the latest season. I didn't watch the one before that.
Do you watch it?
No.
But I think it is a drama show. People take it the wrong way and they see it as like a catch up of the last season. It's not. It's not a recap.
Yeah.
It's a drama show.
Do you watch it to learn about F1 or do you watch it for the drama?
No, I watch it for the drama and to also see things behind the scenes that we wouldn't see.
That's the problem. Is a lot of fans, and I don't want to generalize here, but specifically American fans view Drive to Survive as, you know, this is what F1 is like. This is how F1 works, and it gives the impression of the sport being less serious in a way, but also just that there's so much more drama than there is, and I think that's why I don't like to watch it because it just gives a fake perception of it. It's such a bad show for the real fans.
Did you watch the previous season one?
Yeah.
Was it true that at Belgium they painted the narrative as if Russell won the race, but then they didn't show him getting disqualified? Am I right in that?
I don't think they mentioned the disqualification. Yeah. I can't remember too much.
That's fake. That's something because I think I heard that they were pushing the narrative of like, oh, Russell's ready to take over from Hamilton as the first driver. You know what a great driver he is, and they just left it as if he won the race.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of storylines that they have to scrap as well because sometimes with documentaries and things like that, they have to be in the right place at the right time, and if they're not there, they can't cover it. So if there's a certain thing that they've missed, like they can't cover it because they weren't there.
Because they might have already packed up and gone home by the time he was disqualified.
Yeah. So it is hard to make it all work. I think in a way they do it well. It is entertaining, but it's even happened before, like what we were saying about Norris and Ricciardo. And they got on great. They were good teammates. They got on and they came out and they were like, this isn't. You know, I think they did a video where they were reacting to an episode of Drive to Survive, and they were like, "That just didn't happen."
Yeah,
that just didn't happen. That was not how that happened.
That's the thing. I just think there's so many people who I've spoken to in the past who they're casual fans, and they've just watched Drive to Survive, and they'll talk to you about a driver pairing, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, they hated each other, didn't you?" And I was like, "What? No, they didn't. They really liked each other. They got on well, and they were known for it." And then, that's the thing. Like, you know that video, right, of at Silverstone of Lando and Daniel on the space opera thing.
Oh yeah, when
on the face. I was surprised that wasn't in Drive to Survive as like
because it doesn't fit the narrative.
Danny Rick nearly killed Lando Norris. It could have been fatal, and like, you know, they hate each other ridiculously. He's trying to kill his competition. It's like, no, it's just like a complete accident.
Yeah. So then, again, if they're not there, they can't film it, and I think that's where a lot of things get missed. And I remember people saying about like, oh well, why didn't you cover this? Why didn't you cover Qatar when everyone was throwing up and passing out and things like that? It's like, well, first of all, there's certain things they can't show, and second of all, there are things that they're not there, so they can't. So it's hard. You can't always. You have to take these things with a pinch of salt, and I think some people forget to do that.
One thing I was listening to someone yesterday, and he was saying that instead of having like a Netflix Drive to Survive, have something more similar to like the All or Nothing series that we've seen over in football and stuff like
I think that would be good because if they covered a team all year.
You could cover a team or still, but then imagine like you have a series. It's just like Red Bull on the 2025 season, and you have like when they're in the their meetings after the race, like after Bahrain, and they're shouting and all. I'd love to watch that.
All or Nothing McLaren documentary this year and seeing everything behind the scenes. It'd be brilliant.
That's better TV for me. That's more value for me to watch that because I'm interested to see. Yeah, what happened after that race? For example, when with Belgium, they didn't say about Russell getting disqualified. I want to hear what Russell's reaction was knowing when he got disqualified. What was he thinking? We don't know what he was thinking. We just knew he won the race.
A lot of people watch sport for drama, but I think I watch it just for the interesting stuff that happens. Like especially F1. Like I want drama because it's interesting. Like if two teammates crash into each other, that's a great story.
Get the popcorn out and all that stuff.
But I also want to watch it to learn more about it and like watch just the spectacle of it and stuff. Like I'd love a documentary following a team and finding out what's said in meetings afterwards. Find out what they're really thinking throughout the season. That's what I'm
surprised they haven't done it already. The amount of like football teams they've done it with Man City, Tottenham, Arsenal,
and even Sunderland they've done it with.
It's
pretty irrelevant when they did it with them.
They've done it with like, NFL teams and basketball teams. I'm surprised they haven't.
I think it will come.
Maybe this is our pitch. Maybe this is a production
Netflix,
team.
If you're watching Netflix,
I'll be happy to be a part of the show. If you want me to, I'll be
one of the anchors in it.
Yeah. You can use the clip in the podcast of the podcast.
You're the Will Buxton.
It's free.
You're Will Buxton.
Yeah, I'll be Will Buxton. Yeah. You can use this free of charge and such. Just give us a little
come on, you got to sell yourself for more than that. Come on, you can't
free
of
charge.
Come on.
I'll do a coffee or something.
Like free lunch.
I want enough money for a meal deal.
Yeah, meal deal. Yeah, free meal deal. That works for me.
But I think it is hard, like, quickly with Drive to Survive. Like, they're trying to please so many different demographics because they've got new fans that know nothing about it. They've then got the casual fans. They've got the die-hard fans. They've got people who've been watching it since, the 70s or whatever. Yeah. Like, they're trying to please so many different people, of people that just browse Netflix and are clicking on it, people who love the sport. It's hard to then make the show work where you can learn about it and catch up with the drama and the behind the scenes. And it is hard, and I think they do a good job. But then I think you've got to then have that kind of disclaimer of like, take this with a pinch of salt.
I think it should be like an entry-level show, kind of. Like that should be who they market it to as new fans and kind of casual fans, because it's all right for a fan, for example, say like you watching it, because you know what's real and what's not real because you've watched the season. But then the people who don't know, they kind of need to tell them this is not all. Like,
they end up with a false impression.
Factual, yeah. But that's why it's a good market for new fans, because they can kind of learn a bit about what's happening in the season, but not fully serious. Not everything, is accurate, and they can go and do their own research and learn more.
Yeah. No, it's just that struggle to find the balance between who you're pitching that towards. Yeah, I think it should be. I see it as an entry level. I see. Yeah, if you just want to see what Formula One is about. Yeah, pay attention to that. But then, because I think a lot of people, I've heard some people say that they'll watch like Netflix Drive to Survive, but they struggle to go and watch the races because the races aren't as like interesting. It isn't as like pop. It isn't what the TV.
That's the problem.
What they see on the TV or on Netflix, they expect to see it in Formula One, but it's a completely different thing.
I'm surprised that people who watch Drive to Survive watch like hour-long episodes. Like I think nowadays the thing with sports is coming to like 20-minute segments now. Yeah. Like that's the thing. Like
all this TikTok era, one minute races.
People say it's boring because they can't focus for 2 hours. Like I get it, a race like Japan, even I struggled to sit there and watch the whole race because it was boring. But an exciting race, like if you can't sit there for 2 hours, what are you doing? It's 2 hours of your life. You should be able to focus for that long on one thing.
Yeah. No, it is true.
Shall we move on to Jeddah now?
Yeah, speak a little bit about Jeddah. This is the 4th time we're going there now. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Fifth year. Fifth year,
Right.
isn't it? Yeah. So 5th year
Quick
at Saudi
maths.
Arabia. Yeah, quick maths, yeah.
Quick counting lesson there.
So what's we're getting to the predictions in a little bit. But what are your guys' overall thoughts going into the weekend?
The track's grown on me. I used to not like it, but I think it's a good track. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's good, and I think it can bring some exciting. It can bring some exciting races, but I think it just depends on quali and who does well. I think I said earlier about Piastri has said he's very excited for it and he loves the track. There are a lot of drivers that really love that track. There are some that then really hate it.
Yeah.
So
What
it
time
kind of
is
depends
lights
on.
out, by the way. Do any of you know?
I don't know.
It might be like 3-4 o'clock again.
Damn it! If it is, I won't be able to watch it live.
Yeah, I will struggle as well.
So I was just wondering that, but no, I think because you can talk about sports washing and stuff all you want with the fact that it's in, like, you know, Saudi Arabia, it's a big oil country and all the money they're investing into the sport, but it is still an entertaining race, so I don't really mind.
21 is one of the best Grand Prix.
That's what I mean. Like, it was one of the best
recent
races
times,
that
for
year.
example.
Like, I do like the track. I think it's a good track, and I don't think it matters all of that stuff because it is good for fans, and realistically, the sport is for fans. So
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's a good race.
Yeah, I think the whole question is, like, if Saudi Arabia, if that track was put in, say, Germany, for example,
No, one
would
talking
much
about
people
it.
moan as it is? It's just because it's in the Middle East, and also, like, you know, the whole criticism of races over there. And look at Bahrain, for example. We have a great Grand Prix track in Bahrain, and they're in the same region and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't see anyone complaining about having it in Bahrain.
Yeah.
It's just because it's in Saudi Arabia.
I think
it's
we
probably
just have a
little bit more
lot of
hated.
Middle East races. Now,
It's true.
people
I do think we have a little bit too many. I think we should just, like, because rather than having 4 races over in the Middle East, why don't we have another race somewhere else in Asia? Maybe, like, I think Bangkok. There's talks
Yeah,
of
well, I
Bangkok
said
as
that
a
earlier. I
race.
want to see
Or
them go
Africa.
further east.
Africa even as
We
well.
haven't got a race in Africa at the moment.
Even I did see something this morning or yesterday, I can't remember, about Imola in doubt as to stay on the calendar, because I don't see the reason why to have 2 Italian Grand Prix.
No.
I know we used to have Imola before as the San Marino Grand Prix.
It's
but
a good track, but it wouldn't be that.
I would happily get rid of the track if we was to have a race in Africa or another race, because that's the thing.
Bring
with
back Kyle Army, for example.
Kyle Army, like, I think there's a proposal of a brand new circuit in Cape Town that they.
That'd be
Yeah,
good.
well, that's what I was going to
had
say. I think Cape Town would be good.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
They've got like a little layout. I think it's like 25 corners that they've got there, which is quite a bit. It's gonna be like another street circuit. It's gonna be very similar to like Miami, where, you know, you got the stadium as like the behind the.
Yeah, I like.
It's gonna be like similar to like
I
that,
like
I think. But yeah, I think have more races, because we've got a race in China, we've got a race in Japan. That's the only races we've got over in that eastern part of Asia. You know, why don't we go into Thailand? There's talks with Bangkok as a host of it. They have a race track as well. I think they
Thailand's
MotoGP.
a really nice nation
I
as
think,
well.
yeah, very popular amongst the British people. A lot of people go there and stuff.
With tourists in general, really.
So yeah, so I think why not have another race over there as well? Alex Albon, who's a Thai driver as well, has a lot of fans over there. Of course we've got Singapore as well, but it's a massive region that I think we should have. We nearly had Vietnam a couple of years ago, but lockdown.
I would have liked that.
all
I
that
mean,
stuff.
the F1 game, that
Yeah,
track
I remember
was fun.
driving
That track was really
remember
fun.
driving on that, but then we just never got it, because I think the guy that owns or organised it is he's in prison. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh,
I think he's in
right.
prison. I think he's
that'll do it.
some sort of scandal
Yeah.
or something like that. So that's why it never actually went beyond.
Maybe not then.
Beyond,
Right, well.
beyond that. So
I think also
Um,
they're going to have to start looking at dropping races, and then that's going to be hard because they have to then
Yeah.
decide what ones do we
They
let
can't
go
just
of.
keep extending and
Yeah.
making it like a 30-race
Yeah.
season.
And there's always then going to be complaints. I think they're at their max now with 24. They cannot go further
I
than
thought
that.
22 races in the season was a max.
Yeah.
And now we pushed 24.
I reckon they might end up at 26 at some point.
26. So
I think
half
that's
the
too
year.
many.
I
half
think
the
they
year.
came out and said
Half the year.
that I think it was Dominicali that came out. I might be wrong. I think it was him that said no. I think 24 is
Yeah.
a good spot. And you know, I mean, it was a little bit insensitive in my opinion. The interview, he was kind of like, if you're complaining about it, and if the drivers are complaining about it, like, we're here to race, so kind of get over it.
Yeah.
But you know, 24 races is good. I mean, it's entertaining for us, but there is a level of I don't know, just take care of your team and take care of your drivers that have to do so much travelling.
Yeah.
And then the minute you then take it further, if you add another European race or something, you can kind of slot it into that European race.
German Grand Prix. I want a German Grand Prix.
I would like a
How-
German Grand Prix.
Even Nürburgring or Hockenheim, either one.
We have it's Formula One, the best motorsport in the world. Yeah, every other racing series races in Germany, basically. How do we not have a German Grand Prix?
I know.
How
it is
we've
mental.
got Hocken. The reason why is because
the races there were always amazing. I thought.
the last race at Hockenheim we had was 2019, and that's when everyone went spinning off
That was
into
brilliant.
into the.
I feel like it would be so good, but yeah, again, they're gonna have to drop one, and it's. I mean, unless they do then another like triple header or another double header, and they add one in
It's all
and
about
kind of
money,
slot it in.
though.
But
That's the problem. Who's going to offer them more money?
Yeah.
A country in the Middle East or Germany?
That's when Germany doesn't. They can't afford it. Like
So,
we had
you know,
we had the
that's
race
what
in,
they care
we had the
about.
race at the Nürburgring in 2020, didn't we? And that was because it was lockdown, and I reckon they didn't have to pay much. So it was like, yeah, we can have a Grand Prix. And even like, I don't understand how Formula 1 doesn't have a race in Germany. It's incredible to me. How
but
do
then
we not
I
have
suppose
that?
it all leads back round to
But it
business.
just-
and
it's
that.
gone
That's
into
why I was
business
saying
and
about
stuff.
that's the only point against.
They
Saudi
have
Arabia.
enough now. They have enough money. Just
Well,
come on,
clearly
do
not.
something.
Give us
Do
what we
something
want.
fun.
Give us what we want. I'd say, and even Malaysia. Why are we not racing in Malaysia?
That was good. I like Malaysia.
Like my first ever my first ever proper memory of like Formula 1 was 2014 Malaysia when Lewis won. That was my first memory of Lewis winning. I love that track. It was like such a
don't know why,
what that first sectors was so good.
I
'cause
remember
you could
the
just follow the whole way.
2012 Valencia Grand Prix really well. I don't know why, but I remember
Valencia.
that race. That was good.
Yeah,
I like that track.
Turkey
It's
as
just
well.
so
What
different now,
Have you
isn't
seen
it?
what's happened to that track now, though? The Valencia track.
Yeah,
Like,
they-
it's basically just abandoned now. Like, it's
Yeah.
like
Oh,
you go there and it's all like run down and derelict now.
Yeah.
that's sad.
I want to go there just to walk around it.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
I'm excited to see Madrid come in. That's going to be exciting next year because
Yeah.
replacing Barcelona.
Rest in peace,
Because that's
Catalonia.
going to be an interesting track. I haven't seen anything recently about it. I don't know but I know that there was like it's like going to be half street, half
Yeah.
like it's going to be
It'd be
fun.
weird.
Yeah.
It'd be
But-
interesting for
Yeah.
sure.
That's the
gonna
thing.
be
It's
good.
just we're going towards more street circuits because it's easier to set up.
It's more entertaining as well, I'd say.
It's easier.
I like that
Oh, I
hybrid though that
prefer-
they're kind of doing with
Yeah.
Madrid, where
I
it
like
will
that.
be
It is a
it'll
bit
kind of best of both
They're more
worlds.
tricky though as well. I think street circuits. Like
No, because you look at Azerbaijan, for example.
I
It's
said it's
just
a tricky track.
Azerbaijan. It's
Would you
just
not say
low.
that's hard?
It's just low speed corners on a straight.
no, but if you get the braking wrong in one of the corners, it's so easy.
You
to
send it
Mm.
off, but I wouldn't say it's difficult. I wouldn't say
you've
it's.
got to turn something.
I-
You've got Castle section as well.
Suzuka Silverstone are two tracks that are way harder than Azerbaijan, for
Suzuka's
example.
harder. I don't know about Silverstone.
Silverstone, the high speed corners, that the Cops, Maggots, Beckett's. It's just.
It's harder to be fast at Silverstone. I think it's way easier to get around the
Yeah.
track.
I just because like look at Paris for example. When he was racing at street circuits, I think he only ever won at street circuits apart from his first race at Bahrain, because it's just easier. It's just way easier because a lot of the corners are 90-degree corners. Like look at Singapore.
Yeah.
So all you need to have is good traction out corners, and Paris was really good at that, and that's how he was really good at Singapore and Azerbaijan and stuff like that. But yeah, so shall we get into our predictions
Yeah.
for Saudi Arabia?
What are we predicting.
I haven't thought of mine yet.
I haven't thought of any. Wait, should we go over while we think of that? Should we go over our Japan predictions?
Go on,
that
Em.
we
You
did-
got 'em.
that we
Let's
did?
see how,
I
let's
found
see how
them.
bad this was.
Right, so
Okay, here we go.
This could be awful.
On-
couldn't
This
it?
is going to be dreadful.
right, so Ethan, I'm going to include you in this as well because you did the Japan.
Oh, Ethan behind the
yeah.
camera.
Good
could
luck.
Get exposed here.
So on pole was Max Verstappen in
Mhm.
Japan. You two said Max Verstappen.
Oh, did I? Oh,
On pole.
brilliant.
So that's banging. That is. You said Leclerc on pole. So
Ooh.
that was.
Yeah, but that was my hot take.
Yeah,
That was
that's
my.
what-
Yeah,
that was
no,
my. I didn't
Joe-
want to go boring. I
Right.
meant Verstappen. I said it under my breath.
Right, so first place, you said Piastri.
Yeah.
You
Fair enough.
said Norris. I said Norris, and you said Piastri to win the race. No one predicted Verstappen to win the race.
No, I don't think anyone would have done that.
No.
Second place, you said Norris, so that is
Right, isn't it? Yeah.
correct. You're
Yeah,
correct there.
that's right.
You said Verstappen, so that's not right. Close. I said Piastri in second, and you said Norris in second as well. So that's
let's
pretty
go.
good.
Go on.
Got one right.
And then third place, you said Leclerc.
Ooh.
You said Hamilton. I said Verstappen, and you said Hamilton as well. So
We all went different now. We all got it
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh well.
maybe it pays to be boring.
and P10.
Who was P10?
Should I have a little look?
I don't remember who was.
I don't
P10.
remember who P10 was.
I feel like it
Uh,
was someone like
Behrman.
Stroll or
Behrman.
something.
Was it Behrman? Was it?
Oh, I definitely did
Oh,
not say
yeah.
Berman.
Behrman.
It was Behrman.
I think it was.
Oh, I think I might have said.
Yeah. It was Behrman. So
Did any of us say Behrman?
none of us said
definitely
Behrman.
didn't.
No,
Oh,
I said Lawson.
Oh.
You two said Albon, which he wasn't too far off.
I think he came like 9th or 8th.
He was ninth. Yeah. So
Yeah, so I was
not
only
too
one off.
bad. And then you said Gasly.
Oh.
So.
Well.
And then last classified. I know I'm the only one that got this right because I put it in the group chat. Lance Stroll finished classified last. And I got that one right. I'm actually really proud of that one.
Go on.
We was praising.
breaking the chair behind the camera.
No, we was praising Stroll a lot. And I thought no, he's gonna go back down to reality now. He's gonna go back to last and finish last. I think it's like
Well
one of
done.
I think it's like one of the only Grand. I think it's like the 18th Grand Prix that we've had all cars finish.
So do I win though?
Which is
Because I
incredible.
got the most right, didn't I? Because I got 2 right. So I win then.
I didn't know we were winning.
Wait,
Yeah.
we're gonna do it.
I'll
fine
win.
then, alright, okay.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
2 there.
Congratulations.
I
Well
win. I don't know
done.
what I win, but I win.
Shall we get into our predictions for Saudi Arabia?
Okay.
Right, actually, wait. So what we're gonna do? So we're gonna do it 10th and last classified again, or we're just gonna
No.
I sent you a list.
send me a list?
I said, so quali pole, first, second, third, first to pit, driver of the day.
First to pit.
What are you on
First to
about?
pit.
First to pit.
That's just like a roulette 20
Oh,
drivers.
gosh.
Pick that one.
And what was it, driver of the day?
Predicted driver of the day. Oh,
That's quite a good one, actually.
I like
Picking
that.
driver of the day. What out as in who should be or who actually gets it?
Anyone's getting driver of the day at the moment, isn't they? Like Lewis got it on the weekend.
Right.
when
Wait. So
there was
quali-
way other
right,
better drivers.
Quali prediction first.
Right. Quali
Right,
pole.
Pole. I'm. Actually, we want to go first.
It worked for me before. I'm going for Stafford again.
Is that
Alright,
okay?
go on.
Okay, cool.
You go.
Okay.
You go on.
I don't want to be bored. I'm gonna go Piastri on pole.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say Piastri.
You can still say
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, Piastri. Piastri. Hello,
Yeah.
Piastri.
Right.
Do you want to play with this? Or do you want to give your prediction as well?
Yeah, I'm going to go Ocon.
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 What?
Let's go.
Ethan's
mean,
gone Ocon if you
you
didn't
never
hear
know.
that.
Do you know what? If he gets that right though,
If he
You
gets
never
that
know.
right, I'll give him a $5.
I'll give him a 5 as well. We'll chip in.
Yeah, I think we need to give him more than a fiver if he gets that right, to be honest. That's so,
Right,
that's so
then
rogue.
Is it podium next?
Yeah, first, second, third.
Piastri, Verstappen, Norris.
Right.
I'm going rogue.
Okay. Have you got yours?
I'm gonna go with Piastri to win the race. I will then go Norris.
Boring.
No, I don't want to go boring. I'm gonna go Piastri, Russell, Verstappen.
Ooh.
Gosh, have we got the same brain? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say Piastri. Yeah, I'm going to say the same as you, Russell,
Okay.
and then Norris.
Copying each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the thought. I should have gone
What
first.
about you, Ethan?
Russell, Norris, and Verstappen.
Russell, Norris,
What
Russell
happened to
win.
Ocon?
Ocon crashed.
Yeah. He was the first to pit and didn't make it out. Oh,
right,
gosh.
so then first to pit now.
First to pit.
God, this is anyone really now. He's just chucking out a name.
Ocon.
He's
There we
gone
go.
Ocon again.
Okay, we're going with the storyline here.
I'm gonna go Gasly. Yeah, he have a lap one shunt or something like that, and he has to pit front wing damage.
I'm going to say...
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be someone who's in the midfield. I'm going to say Ollie Behrman.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go Antonelli.
Antonelli.
Someone needs to remember this when we're watching the race because there's no way we're going to have to...
No,
we're not going to be
Yeah.
able to look up who was first to pit in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix and find out.
We're going to have to be like
You're gonna be-
watching.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Well, we'll see.
Give it that tracking bet. It's like, oh, yes, he's fitted.
And driver of the day. What do we
Kimi
think?
Antonelli because he won it a couple of times because he's got a lot of fans. So I'm going to say Kimi Antonelli.
I'm gonna go Oscar Piastri because he's
Safe.
You got to go with people that like favourites, right? So he's a favourite driver, so I think it's not
Yeah.
too difficult for him to
Who are you
do.
going for?
Sonoda.
Ooh.
Because I think if he has like a good race, because he did well in Bahrain.
Yeah.
If he has another good race, he could be
Well,
driving
especially at
the
a
day.
track that the car should like as well. What are you saying, Ethan? Ocon.
Ocon.
So he hold on. So he gets damage. He pits. He's out of the race. He gets driver of the day. Lap 1.
Yep.
Yeah,
Don't forget,
Nice.
he's on pole as well. He's on pole as well. Don't forget.
He's,
Like-
and he was on pole. and
He
doesn't
caused
finish
so much
the race.
destruction. We feel bad for him, so we're voting for
Classic
driver of the
Ocon, isn't
day.
it?
So he gets pole. He gets damaged first lap. He has to pit first. He then comes out of the.
They
pits
can't
last.
hear you, by the way.
He comes out of the pits.
He
last,
comes out the pits last.
And then he comes and finishes fourth.
He comes and finishes
Fourth.
fourth. Okay, if he does
Wow,
that,
that'd be
that is
wild.
cool. And if
Alright,
that one
nice.
happens, I'll give you £1,000.
Oh.
Exactly as you
Yeah.
just described.
Right. Have we got any final thoughts? Anything we want to go over? A team that we haven't covered
I don't think so.
or anything? No,
No,
I think
I
that's
think
it.
we're all
I
good.
think that's it.
Yeah.
We kind of didn't really talk about much about the Grand Prix itself, but we had
fun.
Yeah, we went on a few tangents, didn't we?
yeah.
It was
And then
enjoyable.
we'll be back next to talk about Saudi Arabia. So that'll be hopefully that's a good Grand Prix. Hopefully we maybe get a different winner or something like that. Will be interesting to see. Hopefully Ocon can win a race.
Please,
That,
Ocon.
I wouldn't be against Ocon winning the race.
I'd
so-
rather, out of the Haas, I'd rather Roddy Bearman, to be honest, because he's
Yeah.
from Chelmsford.
But yeah, that's gonna call it here for today's episode of the Chequered Show, episode 3. Make sure you guys are subscribed on the YouTube channel, follow the TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. We're on Spotify as well, so listen over there. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.